how's it going? My name's George with Pretty Corpse Corp, and today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to do the one arm pull up. Before we can attempt the one arm pull up, we have to prepare ourselves with the proper strength. These are some of the type of different pull up variations I used in order to prepare my body for our goal. First off, we have our circle pull ups. I like this variation because it starts to help us get used to the feel of having most of our body weight supported by only one arm and one shoulder. That'll be the main reason I chose these pull-up variations, to prepare myself mentally and physically for the one arm pull-up. And next we have our side-to-side pull-ups, which is a slightly harder variation of the circle pull-ups we just did. We want to be sure to be controlling our speed and momentum to be sure we're not just swinging from one side to the other. Something I like to do in order to control the momentum, if you can see, I try to pause in the middle as I'm switching from side to side. Once this motion becomes a little easier for us and we need to make it a little more challenging, we can do that by adding a couple of leg raises before we swing from side to side. I usually like to do 2 leg raises on each leg before I swing to the other side, but we can always start off by doing just 1 on each leg and work our way up from there. Also, I'm not sure if you can see in this video, but one thing I like to do before I move side to side, I like to loosen my grip on the opposite arm of where my body weight is. This will help us get a little bit more mentally prepared when it comes to finally releasing that one arm from the bar. One of the best ways we can build up our back strength is by doing some weighted pull-ups. For this purpose, we're going to be doing them as drop sets. First, we want to start off with our max weight. What that means is that the weight is so heavy that it only allows you to get 1 or maybe 2 reps at a time. Personally, I like to do about 2 sets of this before starting to drop any weight. Once we're finished with those sets, we can start reducing the weight. You can either do this by removing 1 plate at a time or a couple until you feel comfortable enough to continue your next set. The biggest point is we eventually want to work our way down to our body weight. And last but not least, we want to max out with our body weight. We want to try to get in as many extra reps as we couldn't when we had all that weight on. These commando pull-ups are another great variation that will start to help us get more mentally and physically prepared for the one-arm pull-up. How we do this is we grip the bar with both hands, pulling the bar down towards our shoulder as we alternate shoulders between reps. I also think it's good practice to alternate your grip Whatever hand was in the front goes towards the back and vice versa. Once this motion becomes a little easier, we can move on to the single side commando pull-ups. These pull-ups are great because they can start to give you a better feel of what it's actually like to pull our body weight up only using one arm. One way I try to do that as well is just like with the side-to-side pull-ups, I try to release the grip on my non-dominant arm as much as possible. Eventually, we'll be able to release the grip and we can start working our way down to doing commando pull-ups using our fingers. First, we just take the thumb out of the equation and use a 4-finger grip on our non-dominant arm. We also want to be sure we practice every movement on both arms. If I do it with my left, I should be able to do it with my right. Now we can move on to 3-finger commando pull-ups by just taking one more finger out of our grip. Regardless of the amount of fingers we're using during these commando pull-ups, one thing we want to do before we start is make sure that the grip on our dominant hand is in a comfortable position. We don't want to just grab the bar and pull ourselves up because we might end up hurting our shoulder this way. Once we're more comfortable there, we can move on to the 2-finger commando pull-ups. All we're doing here is working our way down to our one-handed pull-up. We want our shoulder to get used to the motion of pulling ourselves up using only one arm, while at the same time trying to avoid injuries. And finally, we've worked our way down to the 1-finger commando pull-ups. At this point, we're just using the extra finger as more of a safety net, both mentally and physically. The last thing we want to do is injure our shoulders when we're so close. And though it doesn't seem like it, having that one extra finger on the bar can mean the difference between being able to pull yourself up or not. In my opinion, the negative one-arm pull-up is probably the most important one of these variations that you should master before attempting a single arm pull-up. So using both arms, we pull ourselves up to the bar, then shift ourselves so that our body weight is now only being supported by one arm. At this point, I like to let go of my non-dominant hand and place it behind my back while trying to hold on to the bar as much as possible while my body weight drags me to the ground. One thing we always want to keep in mind is to not let our ego get in our head. We want to be sure we master each version of these pull-ups before we move on to the slightly harder variation. And after all that training and preparation, we can finally go ahead and attempt the one-arm pull-up. Again, this has been George with Pretty Corpse Corp. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and see you next time.